Hello, and welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Thursday, March the 5th, 2026, and this show begins now. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel for other great shows like The Great Divide airing tonight and sports like Illinois Wesleyan. Tonight they have a game, a men's lacrosse game. So check that out as well. And of course, notifications for this great program. On today's episode, I'm going to first get into the others. What do I mean by that? Well, the NLL has had the same awards for what feels like a good while now. And while I am going to nitpick some of the way the voting works, I want to get into what other awards does the league need to add. Then we'll do my top 5 NLL teams that need to make a big trade before the deadline, which ends Monday at noon Eastern. And finally, we will be creating the narrative for a 5-game slate in NLL week number 15. Before we get started, this show is presented by the merchandise found at natalkradio.us/NLL. Head over to this link and it takes you straight to the store, the National Lacrosse League, found on Amazon. When you are there, you can shop for unboxed merchandise, player name shirts, and much more. But when you use this link, it lets Amazon know that we sent you, and it costs you nothing and probably doesn't take you any more time because instead of opening up Amazon, you just use that link. It's the exact same thing, so we appreciate you. Every year, I do something called the mics. It's where I give out my MVP, my head coach, my goalie of the year, my NLL awards. Much like the Grammys, like I said, I call it the mics. The NLL has their awards, obviously, pretty much the same things I do. They have a transition player of the year. I find that a little bit hard to determine sometimes, especially as a person who loves lacrosse, watches the games like crazy. It's annoying to me when certain teams get to decide, or certain voters get to decide, oh, well, that guy's eligible for transition. It makes no sense to me. If you were listed as a defender or transition player of the year, like, I don't know why Mike Messenger, we have to differentiate what he does. But I can get into my gripes, and then we'll get into what other awards I believe the NLL should add. Now, I find it very, very upsetting that, like I said, teams, and it seems like some voters, get to decide whether or not a guy is eligible for a certain award. I think a perfect, horrible example of this was, a perfect bad example, should I say, of this, was when Zach Currier was not nominated for the MVP because the Seals didn't do so. I don't care what Zach Currier thinks about it. I know he might be humble. I don't know. I don't care what his team thinks about it. They're stupid. And I think that's a travesty that guys like him can do everything on the floor, and it literally means nothing if your team feels like Wesley Berg should win the MVP. That's stupid. That's just not, it doesn't make sense in any league. Why does it make sense in this one? Another thing I don't like is, I'll be honest, and I'm guilty of it too, my defensive player of the year honors took a little bit of scraps when Paul Dawson made my 4th best defender, all right? I understand certain people who are, coaches in their own regard, they can see why Paul Dawson may or may not be as good as his 27 block shots shows. But you cannot, listen, I have a daily show. I literally, it's voluntary, by the way. Can someone explain to me why, if I cannot keep up with every good defender in the league, why does the league trust a bunch of voters who also do not have this as their full-time job, why do they expect them to do it? Like, the people that vote for these awards, literally, probably 3 or 4 of them actually know what they're doing. And again, MVP is kind of easy. Goalie of the year is supposed to be easy, even though I felt like when Chiliano won it, it's like, okay, I guess the roster doesn't matter, but that's a story for another day. It just feels like certain awards, like, how are we choosing transition player of the year? I think that's a really weird award. It's like, we decide that Mike Messenger is just transition. Why? He's clearly a defender, but I think he's transition. That takes away, though, from him being able to win an award. Like, and again, I feel like I know, again, some people, because they're coaches and they know the X's and O's, they see it differently. Majority of voters, there's no way they know what they're talking about. There's just no way. I've seen the way they talk about things. It is about stats. It is about what the team decided the award should be. I disagree with that. I think Defender of the Year is a very tough thing to determine. I think trusting voters who are basically part-time employees at best to make those decisions sucks a little bit, honestly. And I think transition player, again, it's annoying when certain defenders are designated as transition players, because I feel like that limits their potential in winning awards, all right? So that's my couple of gripes. But now let's get into what awards I think the NLL should add, all right? And I've got 4 of them here. Number 1 is a best two-way player / Swiss Army knife kind of guy. I know it's kind of technically supposed to be the transition player of the year, even though, like, you have to pay attention to who comes out the back door, and probably is a defender 99% of the time. This player, though, should be the guy, like Dane Smith should be eligible for this thing quite a bit. Like, when you have an offensive, like CJ Kurse, for crying out loud, a newer example. Adam Patra last year in his rookie year, these guys should be eligible for this award. Zach Currier obviously is the perfect example of this award. A guy who can do it, who can score some goals, dish out some apples, and then at the other end, they can stay on defense or they can trail check and things like that. I feel like that's an award we have to add, because I feel like it's, and I don't really know if there's an NBA equivalent of it. I feel like, you have defensive player, you have offensive player, but the best NLL players do it on both ends. And that could also mean if, let's say, for instance, this year, Mike Messenger, who I mentioned earlier, his stats this year are bonkers. He has got 7 goals, 8 assists, 109 loose balls, 12 cross turnovers, 19 block shots. That's incredible. Let's look at CJ Kurse now, his stats, which again are absolutely out of this world. CJ Kurse, 22 goals, leads the Rock, 21 assists, 56 loose balls, 12 cross turnovers, and a block. Jeff Teat, honestly, this year has shown an ability to be a two-way player. But that, to me, is the first award that I want added. I don't care what you call it. Call it the Zach Currier Award. Call it the Swiss Army Knife. Call it best two-way player. I think best two-way player probably works the best there. But I like that award. I feel like that's an award we have to have, especially when guys like Dane Smith and others are going to follow in those footsteps of being great at both ends. And again, it could be primary defensive or primary offensive, but he's doing it both ways regardless. The next award I want to see added is, I believe, a layup. A best assistant coach. All right. Now, obviously, Derek Keenan and Jimmy Quillen, you're not eligible for this award. But let's say a team like the Colorado Mammoth, all right? Pat Coyle, their head coach, right? How about Jason Bishop getting some love for not just, and again, I understand I give a lot of love to Brad Self and a lot of love to Pat Coyle, and rightfully so. But can you tell me why this guy, Jason Bishop, is just going to get no praise whatsoever besides from his own teammates and a couple of players? Like, I don't know why Jason Bishop can basically make Andrew Q the biggest story he's ever been. Jack Hanna can drop right in. Anybody on the offense works, and yet Pat Coyle and Brad Self get all the love. I'm not saying they don't deserve that love, but it's a perfect example of how the offensive coach, or should I say the assistant coach, deserves a lot of love. All right. I'm looking at other teams that might be different there. Like maybe Dan McCray with the Black Bears. Maybe he's up for GM, and maybe Dylan Evans is up for offensive player. Offensive coach / assistant coach. Another thing, I'm looking at the teams here. But you get what I'm saying, though. I feel like, again, the color of me of offensive coach is a perfect example of what the assistant coach of the year would be. It also might be like the Oshawa Firewolves or Halifax Thunderbirds award, because, hey, when they finally get rid of their guy, or the Matt Sawyer award, but that's just mean. I don't think Jimmy Dowlick would allow that either. But it feels like that award is like the assistant coach that deserves his own team because he's excelling at what he does. So I think that's the thing that needs to happen. Utica Yeti says morning to Mike and the Divers. That was earlier. Michael, the Nighthawks Marvel unit just dropped. Oh my! I will get to that afterwards. I'll do the segment and I'll react on it to start the second segment. All right, so now, how about my third award I think should happen? Comeback Player of the Year. Again, another one that I think is pretty easy to determine. It's like next year, if Tom Schreiber plays or when Ryan Lee comes back, those guys would obviously be eligible. Now, you might have to set some rules in place. It would have to be a guy who I would say probably missed most of last season and even did not finish the season or something along those lines. And it could be injury, work-related, you name it. It has got to be an award, especially in a league where guys, because of their jobs and there's other things that happen with the injuries, that could be like, again, if Tom Schreiber does come back, if he does, that could be an award he could definitely win in his sleep. I think it should be an award that has to happen. Now, my fourth and final award I think the National Lacrosse League needs to add is this right here. The most improved player. Now, this bothers me also because of this right here. Much like the Defensive Player of the Year being based mainly on stats, most improved player, now albeit sometimes by default, would also be a lot of stat watching. And my concern with that would be, are we just got like a bunch of Adam Levy's, no shots, but I'm saying, do we have a bunch of Adam Levy's and Eddie Tabones going across, which guy gained the most points? I don't think that's what I want that award to be. Now, again, the NBA kind of does it in a similar way, and that's where I got the award from. But there's a way to do that award where the stats aren't the only thing that matters. Now, granted, as always, different voters will have different criteria, and that kind of does make it fun. But the most improved player, in my opinion, should be an award they add. So again, best two-way player, and again, he can be primarily defense or offense, but he's got to have stats on both ends. Kind of like Mike Messenger, Zach Currier, Dane Smith, CJ Kurtz, etc. Assistant coach, give some love to the guys who may not win who are not going to get any love because of head coaching stuff, but they are right there like the Colorado Mammoth and just making the offense work for no reason besides that they're awesome. On the third award, I want a Comeback Player of the Year award. That should be a pretty easy one to give out. The guy who dominates after missing probably more than half the season last year. And finally, the most improved player, all right? Now, I mentioned those 4 awards. I call them the others. Now let's get into what you will see at the mics this year. As always, you will see general manager, head coach, MVP, goalie, rookie, and defensive player. Those 6. I have added assistant coach and best two-way player, all right? So those right there are going to be... I appreciate you. So stupid. Those will be my 8 primary awards, all right? We are also going to add some fun ones this year. Now, before, you may have seen me do the Fresh Fits Award, obviously. Well, this year, while Fresh Fits will still be a little bit after this, Fresh Fits will be joined by the Golden Lunchbox, the Breakout Star, the Best NLL Moment, and Best Guest segment on Daily Dive. Now, let's talk about those four briefly, and then we'll tell you the dates that you can watch these mics, all right? Golden Lunchbox, I didn't want to do Grinder of the Year because it's kind of Pat Gregoire's thing, and while he might be able to help me with that award, I feel like the Golden Lunchbox is a perfect name for a guy who is doing dirty work all year. Now, I will admit this. Face-Off Specialist of the Year is another one that I considered. But I know, actually, you could probably add that to the as a fifth award. As an award, the NLL has to add the face-off guy who not just wins face-offs, but wins it against the best players in his position and probably does other things as well. But again, that'd be a little bit nip and tuck on how you would differentiate how great that player actually is or what the award actually meant. Now, again, my Golden Lunchbox would be the guy who did the lunch pail stuff all year. And this could be any position. I'll put it this way. Nick DeMood, to me, is on that list right now. Jake Withers is on that list right now. There are guys out there who are doing, like Phil Mazuka is on the list. There are guys out there who are doing dirty work right now, and they're not getting credit. Again, Phil Mazuka will not win Best Defender. Jake Withers might not win Transition Player. And then you've got Nick DeMood, who will not win Goalie of the Year. But those three guys have been excellent all season long. They are eligible for my Golden Lunchbox at this point in time. Breakout Star, kind of like the Most Improved Player, but that's based on stats. Which guy not only was better from the last year to this year, but which guy really stood out? I'll put it this way. Andrew Q might be up there in that category right now. I think CJ Kirst, honest to God, is in that. Again, this does not be limited to guys who are in their second year or better. I think that matters, though. Again, I think CJ Kirst, I think Andrew Q, and I think there's a few other players in that award as well. Breakout Star. Again, doesn't have to be a guy who wasn't good last year, kind of the Most Improved Player. It's a player who I believe really took the throne and became kind of a household name, at least in NLL circles. The best NLL moments will not be limited to on the field. Last year, the best NLL moments might have been actually Christian Del Bianco finally getting traded. This year, so far, you've got things like the Ottawa Black Bears comeback, which happened this past weekend. You've also got the Buffalo Bandits winning in overtime against the Rush, even though the Bandits were down and dead to rights. And then you've got the Jack Hanna trade. Those would be kind of my leaders right now. And finally, the best guest segment on Daily Dive. I thought best guest was a little bit rude. So I thought just which show this year was I entertained? Were we having fun back and forth? All that good stuff. Best segment on Daily Dive. All right, so there it is. The awards that I want added. Best two-way player, assistant coach of the year, comeback player of the year, and most improved player if done correctly, and possibly a face-off specialist award. And the awards that I will have in the mics in 2026, GM, head coach, assistant coach, MVP, goalie, rookie, defensive player, best two-way player. We'll also have the Golden Lunchbox, Breakout Star, best NLL moments, best guest segments, and Fresh Fits winner. Now, everything but Fresh Fits will be airing Wednesday, April 22nd at 10 a.m. Eastern. That is 3 days after Week 21 concludes. So there's that. When we come back, I will react to the Rochester Nighthawks Marvel uniforms, and then we'll get into our schedule segment. Top 5 teams that I think need to make a big trade at this year's trade deadline. And stay tuned for Creating the Narrative in Week 15. We'll be right back, folks. You're watching Dilly Dive.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
I'll be honest. I'm kind of getting tired of this stuff. All right, so we're back to Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talks from the planet. It's Thursday, March 5th, 2026. All right, so I'll be honest. I really like the Rochester Nighthawks Black Spider-Man Marvel jersey. Here's what I don't like. The Halifax Thunderbirds also have a Spider-Man jersey. I understand it's for the kids. I understand it's one of them's blue and red, the other one's black and red. I also think the ones that I've seen so far look way better than last year. But how many teams are going to do Spider-Man? This is kind of like I think Teddy Jenner said this first on Twitter. I could be wrong. So how many teams are going to do Thor? How many teams will do Captain America? Like, we have to stop with every team does one player, does one Marvel athlete or Marvel hero, if you will. I just feel like, again, if I had not seen a Spider-Man one yet, Rochester Nighthawks on Black Spider-Man would have been great. The problem is Halifax just announced there's a Spider-Man, and now it feels like I've been let down as a fan. I don't know. I'm nitpicking. Both of them look fantastic. I just want a little bit more creativity here. But again, those jerseys look way better than whatever the crap we've been using the last 2 or 3 years. I also want to say I am beyond fed up with it being only game-worn auction. Like, you realize how many kids would pay dang good money to just get a freaking Spider-Man Nighthawks jersey? But no, we have to pay $500 some auction charity. Like, shut up. That's so dumb. Literally every other league in the world will let you buy their special or alternate jerseys. This gatekeeping lacrosse league is the only league in the world that will not let you buy special jerseys. You gotta buy the auction. What are we doing, man? That's just dumb. And I could be wrong. Maybe this year they're letting you do it. But if I'm a fan watching at home, I feel stupid that they can wear a jersey I'll never be able to purchase. Again, in what league do they do that? I don't know. Overall, great jersey. But then I start thinking, I want that. Oh, never mind. Can't get it, right? It becomes frustrating within like 30 seconds of thinking about it. So I get whatever. That's funny. But again, what is the Nighthawk store? I don't I literally do not care if an arena that respectfully puts 4,000 butts in seats at best, I don't care what they're selling. Like, there are so much more Nighthawks fans than just the 10 people that go to those games. And that's stupid. Like, I don't care no one cares about that. Like, can you imagine, like, oh yeah, Buffalo Bandits fans, oh yeah, y'all gonna go to the game and get a jersey. There's like 1 million Buffalo Bandits fans. Like, what are we doing here? It's just stupid. All right. Again, I like the jerseys, but come on, man. Give me something here. My blood pressure's high. That's a lie. All right. It's the NLL trade deadline is happening Monday at noon Eastern. So write that in your calendars. However, not every team will make a move. And some years, the trade deadline kind of comes and goes, right? I have 5 teams here. I don't want to see them just I don't want them to sit on their hands, you know? In fact, these 5 teams, their GM could be in contention for GM of the year, even more so than he is now, if they make a move. And by big trade, I mean, like when Paul Dawson trade happened with the Buffalo Bandits, it was a nice trade, but no one thought it'd be a big trade, and it was. All right? So, number 5 for me, the Ottawa Black Bears. Now, I understand, should Black Bears be a little bit higher? Maybe. But the thing is, I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're 7-5 right now, and it feels like the Ottawa Black Bears, because it's the first year of Dan McRae, he's already exceeded expectations, in my opinion, especially with the addition of Rob Hellier. But let's be real. Kind of like the way Captain said on Monday, does Ottawa have an identity? I don't know. Now, again, 2 games over 500 is awesome. But does Ottawa have a way to add a defender with Kellen Jones, or even another offensive piece that they can really buy in to what they're doing? Not saying they're not that yet, but you have to consider, if you're Dan McRae, as good as this year has gone, do I want to maybe add something else just to see if we can make a run this year? I'm not saying there's pressure on them to do so. There's pressure on the Black Bears to make the playoffs because you got Jeff Teat. But you don't have to win a championship. But is there a way they can? I don't know. Number 4, the Georgia Swarm. I said it, I believe, Monday, maybe even last week. I said, listen, guys, I know, just like the Black Bears, and even more so with the Georgia Swarm, they're way ahead of schedule. The Georgia Swarm are feeling so good right now because every rookie's shining. They don't need 100,000 points from Lyle Thompson. Oh, what's this? Oh, well, okay, here's the thing. Yeah, there's this guy named Brett Dobson, and he's kind of got an 85.7 save percentage. Yeah, not too bad, right? Yeah, when your goalie is doing that, I'm not saying Brett Dobson will not have 80 next year. I think that is on the board. I guarantee you he will not have 85 save percentage next year. It's not going to happen. You have to capitalize. Listen, my trio, nice trade. Your offense is still awful, all right? Georgia, while they are ahead of schedule, which is why they're only number 4, Brett Dobson's historic year cannot just, it was nice. No. This guy is doing something crazy special. You got to give them a chance. Number 3. Oh, man. I know San Diego has no humidity, but, man. Oh, buddy. If I'm Patrick Merrill, my seat is burning up in San Diego. And I know Josiah, I don't know him. I know Josiah might be a little bit complacent, maybe. I don't know. The Seals historically have not been complacent from what we've seen. They have given Patrick Merrill all kind of ammo to operate with, and they've choked in the playoffs. Now, right now, the San Diego Seals are at 6-6? Yeah, they're at 500 again. But man, the roster's not terrible. Can you imagine if they add another good offensive piece? Like, what if Tyler Pace or Tanner Cook comes there? I know the righty-lefty thing. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing out names. Joe Terrence, he's not going to go all the way that way, but I'm just saying, I'm throwing names in like the hat here. Is there an offensive player that might be able to help them? Because again, if I'm Patrick Merrill, oh, buddy, I might get fired. You damn spiffy, you might get fired. But another little luxury piece here might not be the worst thing in the world for the team. But times are getting tough in San Diego. The humidity is cranking despite it being in beautiful California. Number 2, the Rochester Nighthawks. Now, I've told you guys, I'm a little bit sick of Rylan Hartley sometimes, even though I love how great he can be. But man, every year, they're good. They're so good. They're really good. They're good. They're good. When will you be great? That's what I want to know. The defense in transition, to me, could still add a really nice piece. The offense is set for life, all right? But you need something to spark this blasted team. Because I'm tired of the Vancouver moments happening. Every year, Rochester's good. They're good. They're okay. They're not bad. Offense is good. That ain't good enough, man. Good is not good enough. If I am the GM of this team, and again, the GM is awesome. I forgot his name. Let me get to it. Yeah, Dan Carey. I don't know why I forgot that. But Dan Carey, the GM of this team, has been really good. But, buddy, your team ain't great yet, and you know that. Maybe it is a coaching change. I don't know. I'm just saying a little splash, especially on defense or transition, would be sweet. And number 1, yeah. Folks, I know, and this is true, that the Rush had a crappy travel schedule. Things happened that were terrible. And I know them losing in overtime in 2 different games was not the worst thing that could have happened to this team. But you're 10-3. Vancouver and Colorado have easier schedules, at least on paper, to finish out the season than you do. And people seem to forget this. I'm not saying it's on purpose. I'm not saying they don't realize it, but I want to emphasize this point. Folks, as great as the Rush have been the last 2 seasons, do you want to know the last time they won a championship? 2018. That's what we call BC, aka before COVID. All right? Saskatchewan Rush, they are so awesome. Their team seems well put together. Nothing can go wrong. Who saw Colorado being this good this early? Buffalo just beat you guys and beat you on the finals and is still not done with the hopes of a 4-peat. Vancouver has the roster made with the golden bridge in heaven, all right? They got the rainbow roster of the league right now. If I'm the Rush, I don't care how much of a brotherhood we are. I don't care how great we've been. I don't care if you guys believe in yourselves, because you should. I don't think you're going to win it unless you add something. I don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. But you got to give, you cannot, kind of like what Pat Gregor was saying on Monday with the Vancouver Warriors, I think Warriors have a rainbow roster. I think there is absolutely no excuse in a burning heck that they cannot win a championship. The Rush, they have a really good roster, but it's not the star power that I think you need. I want them to add something. I don't know what it is, but add something just to spark plug your guys. Just go zzz, and let you guys know, hey, they've accomplished this much. They might be cream of the crop franchise. They might be a really good roster. They might be fresh on the finals loss. They might make the finals. They still have accomplished this many things since 2018. And that, to me, from the Rush, never be satisfied. And I don't think they will be. But I think the Rush, as dominant as they've been, there's some teams getting a little bit close to them. I'll say it again. I don't know. I'm not the person making that decision. That's Derek Keenan. I'm just saying, Buffalo ain't done, obviously. And Vancouver's got a rainbow roster. Colorado's ahead of schedule. If I'm the Rush, I haven't accomplished anything yet. So how can I don't care what they add. I need one little fork in the butt. They're like, oh, wow, yeah, we need to make sure we're good. Because you don't know you're good. You have the best record in the league right now. You've ran through the season. It means nothing. Because if Colorado or Vancouver or Buffalo smokes you in the end, all of it meant nothing since 2018. And again, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of this team. I'm saying they can't do it. But why would you wait? And we know Derek Keenan probably ain't going to. So there's that. Again, Black Bears, Swarm, Seals, Nighthawks, Rush. That's who I want to see make a big move for reasons I discussed earlier. When we come back, let's create the narrative for a 5-game slate in the NLL this weekend. We got 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. That's interesting. We'll be right back to Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening. You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Daily Dive. I am your host, Michael Karvelis. You're watching the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talks from the plant. It is Thursday, March 5th, 2026. So far in today's show, I mentioned the 5 awards that I want added to the NLL. It's the best two-way player, assistant coach of the year, comeback player of the year, most improved player of the year if done correctly, and face-off specialist of the year if defined correctly. The Mikes 2026 will air Wednesday, April 22nd at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern, and I will add to my list the Golden Lunchbox, Breakout Star, Best NLL Moment, Best Guest segment on Daily Dive, and of course, Fresh Fits. Our next segment we talked about was the top 5 teams that I think need to make a big trade this deadline. Here they were. I've got the Rush number 1, the Nighthawks number 2, Seals at 3, and the Swarm and Black Bears at 4 and 5. Despite being ahead of schedule, I feel like those two teams are like the Swarm are having a historic year with Brett Dobson, and the Black Bears, Jeff T and Rob Hillier have been great, and I don't know if they have an identity. There's a possibility they're better than what they could be now, and that's a scary thought. If you are like, oh my gosh, like Jeff Teats team can be even better, absolutely. Now it's time to create the narrative for week number 15 in the NLL. It's the time where I tell people what I think fans will be talking about leading up to, during, and after the games. On Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern at night, the Toronto Rock will travel to Vancouver to take on the Warriors. The Rock are 6-5. The Warriors are 9-3. Will we see Nick Rose? I told you guys it's been about 3 to 6 weeks by now, and I'm wondering if it's time. Also, did you know the Toronto Rock have not lost 2 in a row all season long? They just lost to Buffalo. Will they continue to trend and actually upset the Vancouver Warriors? On top of that, the Warriors are on their third 3-game winning streak of the year. Did you know the previous 2 3-game winning streaks, they lost the next game? One of those streaks will be over. We'll have to see which one it is. On Saturday at 6 o'clock Eastern, one of 2 Saturday evening games, the Las Vegas Desert Dogs head into California to take on the Thunderbirds. The Desert Dogs are 4-6. Halifax is 4-7. And I'm labeling this game the ultimate fraud watch, because I believe the loser of this game is going to end up being frauds the rest of the season, which means 2026, that preseason hype you had wasn't even that smart, wasn't even that credible. The winner of this game is going to feel good. The loser is who we thought they were, or who I thought they were. On Saturday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern, the Ottawa Black Bears will travel to the Loud House in Denver to take on the Colorado Mammoth. The Black Bears are 7-5. The Mammoth are 9-3. Folks, are the Ottawa Black Bears dangerous? They have 3 massive wins this year. Versus the Rush, at Buffalo, and at Rochester in a game where Rochester scored, 7 or 8 goals? That's a pretty good track record. I'm also curious to see how close Ottawa is and how good Colorado is. Because can the Mammoth flex and get a comfortable win? Or will Ottawa put up a valiant effort? That's something I'm looking forward to. On Sunday, the first of 2 games on Sunday, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, the Calgary Roughnecks will travel to Rochester to take on the Nighthawks. Calgary's 2-9, Rochester's 5-5. I hate doing this again, but just like every team has played Calgary, if Rochester is a contender, they flex and win by 3 or more goals. This also is one last audition, one more 2 hours of game footage for the Roughnecks players at the trade deadline. What will you put on tape in this game? Tyler Pace, Tanner Cook, etc. A lot of teams are like this. Kind of like Bill Belichick. They're looking at you, Calgary. What will you do? And finally on Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern, the Oshawa Firewolves will take on the Philadelphia Wings. Oshawa's 2-10. Philadelphia's 3-9. Does Glenn Clark's team have any fight left? I have a strong feeling that Oshawa wants to get rid of him now. But if his team can show some fights, maybe they once again have second thoughts. I'm not saying I agree with those second thoughts. It's possible. But if this team shows no fight and the Wings beat you, Glenn Clark, you might as well get ready to be unemployed, sir. And the Wings, they have had some crazy good wins this year for no reason. Once again, they're playing with house money. It's funny, in a house where they're not going to be next year, they're playing with house money every time they play. There you go. That's the narrative for week number 15. I also want to add this. I'm curious to see how the Sunday attendances look. I'm going to be honest, folks. I kind of like the idea of once the NFL season ends, putting games on Sunday. What am I going to watch Sunday? Nothing? Oh, now I have the NLL to watch. I'm curious to see how that works. Comments here. Is that Ethan Walker? Hey, shoot. There's a couple of teams out there like Philadelphia, like Oshawa, like Calgary. Everyone's like this. All these GMs are looking around. So Ethan Walker to Buffalo would be interesting. Ethan Walker is also a big-time shot maker. Like that dude, I remember earlier this season, the first game in Oshawa, he scores the game winner. He seems like a cool and confident player who always does the right thing. That would be a nice addition. Like, talk about like the Rush getting a guy like Ethan Walker. Not saying he would find a bunch of playing time, but there are teams out there that I believe would love to have Ethan Walker on their roster just because he does every little thing and can take and make big shots. We'll see, though. Thanks so much for watching today's edition of Daily Dive. We appreciate you once again. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis. Reminder to follow us on the social media at Daily Dive LAX on Twitter and Instagram just to see the reels and stuff that we post, like the graphics, etc. This is another way to support the show and stay interacting with the program here. Again, tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, you've got The Great Divide with Jeff Beck. You also have at 8 o'clock Eastern, also on the network, men's lacrosse, Benedictine versus Illinois Wesleyan. Illinois Wesleyan does a great job on their broadcast. And I don't know if you guys saw, the CCIW Men's Basketball Championship was electric. And that was all on this network, so we appreciate them for helping us out. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for Week 15 preview, pick'em, and best bets. Until then, this has been Daily Dive on North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Bye.